Heat shimmers over a modern military training installation carved into the endless golden plains of the African savanna. Soldiers run drills through dust and punishing sun, their boots carving patterns into dry earth that stretches farther than the eye can follow. Among them is Marcus Kante, 32 years old, composed and focused, a man who carries natural authority the way some men carry height. Without trying, without even noticing. He scales a vertical wall with clean, practiced efficiency. At the top, his teammate Derek struggles, grip slipping, face tight with effort he doesn't want anyone to witness. Marcus reaches down without hesitation. "Push," he says. "I've got you." Derek grabs his wrist. Marcus pulls him up. They land hard on the other side, breathing heavy. Derek nods once, no smile, nothing more, and something tightens behind his eyes that Marcus doesn't yet see. At the firing range, steel targets wait at distance. Derek fires. A miss. He adjusts, fires again. Another miss. Frustration flickers across his face like a shadow he can't outrun. Marcus steps forward when called. 3 shots. 3 clean impacts. The instructor nods with quiet approval. It is a small moment. Barely a gesture. But Derek notices, and whatever was tightening inside him pulls a fraction tighter. In the briefing room, digital tactical maps glow against the walls. Commander Helena Okoye, 40s, disciplined, a woman whose presence commands without demanding, addresses the unit on an intercepted encrypted communication near the border. "We need it decrypted before 0600, she says, scanning the room. Derek straightens slightly, the posture of a man who wants to be seen choosing him. A beat of silence. "Marcus," Helena says. Marcus nods calmly. Derek looks down. It is the smallest moment, but it lands heavy. After the briefing, Derek lingers outside the room longer than necessary. Helena notices him in the corridor as she collects her papers, hands braced against the doorframe, jaw set, staring at nothing. She almost says something. The moment is there, quiet, available, unhurried. But the radio at her hip crackles. Logistics. Timetables. The mundane machinery of command. She clips it off and walks away. The moment passes. It will cost more than she knows. Late that night, Marcus works alone in the tech lab, studying code with patient efficiency. Through the glass partition, Derek watches briefly, unseen, unacknowledged, as Helena stands near Marcus in quiet conversation. "You see patterns quickly," she tells him. "Patterns repeat," Marcus says, not looking up from the screen. "People underestimate that." 20 minutes later, he cracks the encryption. Outside the glass, Derek misreads the exchange entirely. A week passes. The unit runs a joint navigation exercise in the field, 2 days, harsh terrain. Marcus and Derek are paired deliberately by Helena to encourage cohesion. On the second morning, something unexpected happens. They find a rhythm. Derek is fast on his feet, reads elevation instinctively, doesn't hesitate under pressure. Marcus says so plainly, without ceremony. "You read terrain better than anyone in the unit," Marcus tells him, studying the map. That's not a small thing. Derek looks up. Something moves across his face, surprise, and beneath it, the fragile, dangerous thing that is genuine gratitude. For a moment, the tightness in him loosens. Then a radio call comes through. Another commendation from command. Marcus's name, attached to last week's decryption. Derek's expression closes like a shutter. The moment is gone. In the dim barracks, the night is quiet except for the kind of tension that lives in the chest. Derek sits on his bunk. James and Samuel are nearby, their voices low. They talk about him like he's untouchable, James says. A pause. Room shifts when he walks in, Samuel adds. Derek's jaw tightens. When he finally speaks, his voice is measured, almost careful, as if he's been holding these words for longer than tonight. "We trained the same. Same drills. Same hours. But somehow he's always the future." He exhales slowly. "You ever feel like you're shrinking next to someone who isn't even trying?" No one answers. None of them need to. The seed has been growing for some time. Tonight it takes root. The following morning, Derek approaches Marcus in the mess hall, coffee in hand, expression open. "You were up late," Derek says. "Thought you'd need this." Marcus smiles, genuine, warm. "Appreciate it." As Marcus reaches for the cup, it slips. Shatters on the floor. Marcus laughs lightly, looking down at the mess. "Guess I didn't need it that bad." Derek watches the spilled liquid a beat too long. Something in his face that isn't quite a smile, and isn't quite grief either. In the commander's office, during a professional strategy discussion, something else is happening outside the window. Derek lifts his phone with practiced subtlety. Click. A photo captured from an angle that implies intimacy between Marcus and Helena. Not truth. Suggestion. That is all it needs to be. That night in the barracks, phones glow in the dark. Whispers move from bunk to bunk like smoke. When Marcus enters, conversations die instantly. He feels the shift in the air the way you feel a change in weather. Before you can name it, your body already knows. "What's going on?" he asks. No one answers. Derek meets his eyes across the room. "You tell us," Derek says. Marcus doesn't understand. But the ground beneath him has already shifted. The photo reaches Helena by the following morning, forwarded with a careful note by a junior officer who frames it as concern. Helena sits alone with it longer than she would like to admit. The image is ambiguous. She knows that. She also knows how quickly ambiguity becomes accusation in a closed system, and she knows, without fully examining why, that addressing it loudly carries its own risks. She calls Marcus in. The conversation is professional, brief, and for Marcus, quietly devastating. She tells him she is aware of the matter. She tells him to let the process work. She tells him his record speaks for itself. She does not tell him she believes him, though somewhere beneath the institutional language, she does. Marcus walks out of her office and stands still in the corridor for a long moment. He understood what she said. He also understood what she didn't. On the training grounds the following day, Commander Helena addresses the unit. Allegations have surfaced. They are under review. Sergeant Kante's record stands on merit. Murmurs persist anyway. Trust, once fractured, does not care about logic. Marcus stands alone in a crowd he once led, visible to everyone, reached by no one. What the unit does not know, what Helena will later have to sit with, is that the review process she invoked has no real timeline, no named accountability, and no protection for the person at the center of it. Policies built for paperwork are not always built for people. Deployment orders come through. Marcus's assigned team: Derek, James, Samuel. 7 days in the bush. As they gear up, Derek holds Marcus's gaze across the yard. Steady. Unreadable. 7 days in the bush, Derek says quietly. Just us. Something unsettled passes between them. The weight of all the things neither of them has named. That first night in the field, firelight throws long shadows across the camp. Marcus studies the map while silence builds around him like a wall. He doesn't notice it happening, not until Derek stands, and James and Samuel follow without a word. Marcus looks up. And he understands that something is very wrong. What's happening? He asks. Derek steps closer. Too calm. You ever feel invisible? He asks. Marcus watches him carefully. If I've made you feel. You didn't make me feel anything, Derek says, cutting him off, not with anger, but with something more frightening: certainty. You just exist, and everything tilts toward you. There was always room for you, Marcus says quietly. Not in my shadow. The strike comes from behind. Marcus drops, disoriented, the ground rushing up. Before he can recover, they bind his wrists with practiced efficiency. He looks up at the three of them, searching their faces for something: hesitation, reason, remorse. You don't fix insecurity by committing injustice, he says. A flicker crosses Derek's face. Something almost like hesitation. Then it's gone. They drag him into the darkness. Blank, underscore, blank, deep in the bush, they tie him to an acacia tree. Hyena calls echo faintly in the distance, layered over the sound of his own breathing. Derek leans close one last time. Out here, he says quietly, there's no rank. Marcus holds his gaze. There's still character. They walk away and are swallowed by the dark. The hyena laughter rises. Alone. That is the first truth Marcus must absorb, not with fear, not with anger, but with the cold, functional clarity of a soldier who has no other option. He strains against the rope. His wrists burn raw. He forces his breathing steady, works the knot with patient, methodical hands while the African bush settles into its nighttime language around him. Minutes stretch. The rope bites deeper. And then, finally, his hand slips free. He tears the rope away and stumbles back into the darkness. He's free. But the night doesn't care. Blank, underscore, blank, he fumbles for his radio. This is Sergeant Kante. ID 7113. I need immediate extraction. I've been attacked, abandoned. Coordinates, static. A distant voice surfaces through the noise. Sergeant, training exercise zone, outside operational scope. Cannot authorize extraction. Marcus blinks. Disbelief hardens into something sharper. They left me restrained in predator territory. This isn't off course. This is criminal. Static. A beat. We have no report of hostile activity. Marcus's throat tightens. His voice drops to a single word. Please, static. The line dies. He stands in the dark holding a dead radio. His face doesn't break. Instead, something settles behind his eyes, a quiet, cold realization, the kind that changes a man permanently. He is alone. And somewhere in the part of him that is still honest, he wonders whether he should be surprised. Blank, underscore, blank, in the hour before dawn, Marcus pushes through thorn and tall grass while moonlight fades at the horizon. He checks his forearm, blood mixed with dirt, swelling already beginning. He rips fabric from his sleeve, wraps it tight, and moves again. The first day is heat. Relentless, climbing, indifferent heat. He finds a muddy stream, hesitates, and drinks anyway. It tastes wrong. He forces it down. He scans the distance, no landmarks, no reliable direction. He picks a line and walks. Blank, underscore, blank. Night falls again, and Marcus builds a rough shelter from branches with his hands, then tries to make fire. Sparks, smoke, nothing sustained. Darkness deepens around him. Then, a faint whoop in the distance. Another. Hyenas. He grips his knife and keeps still, listening as the sounds move closer, circle, and then, after a long and breathless wait, drift away. He doesn't sleep. He watches the dark like it owes him answers. Blank, underscore, blank, day 2. Marcus walks with a slight limp now. His lips are cracking. Sunburn has begun to climb his neck. He tries the radio again. Nothing. At midday, he finds a dry riverbed, cracked earth, no water. He digs with his bare hands, nails splitting against the baked ground. Nothing. He stands, dizzy, the world briefly tilting. He steadies himself through sheer will alone, and moves on. That afternoon, he finds berries on a low bush and tests them carefully, smell, touch, a small careful taste. He eats a few. Then sudden rustling nearby makes him freeze, knife raised. Nothing visible. But the feeling remains. He is being watched. That second night, he tries fire again. Fails. His teeth grind in frustration as hyena calls return, closer this time. Marcus grabs 2 rocks and strikes harder, faster, the sparks glancing off into bark until one finally catches. A small flame appears. His shoulders loosen for the first time in 2 days. He feeds it carefully, then sits close, guarding it like the most important thing in the world. Because right now, it is. On day 3, Marcus moves less, conserving energy with a discipline that has become survival instinct. His arm is swollen, heat and redness spreading from the wound. He rinses it in a stream, rewraps it, and continues, his face tight with pain. He tucks behind the part of himself that knows better than to dwell. That night, wind shifts and rain threatens. He reinforces his shelter. Hyena laughter echoes closer than before, and he stands tall near the fire with a burning branch, shouting into the dark until the laughter retreats. Not far. But far enough. On night 4, the storm arrives without mercy. Rain crashes down like stones. Wind tears through the branches of his shelter and it collapses around him. His fire dies with a wet, final hiss. Lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating tall grass moving, alive, in every direction. Marcus crouches beneath a tree, soaked through, shaking uncontrollably. His wound is wet. His body is cold. His eyes fight to stay open as fever begins its slow work at the edges of his consciousness. This feels like a night that kills. He wakes in mud on the morning of day 5. Feverish. Weak. He tries to stand and stumbles. He forces himself up again, not because it doesn't hurt, but because he has decided that it will not be enough to stop him. He drags soaked wood toward a dry patch, finds inner bark, and strikes sparks until a flame catches. Small. Fragile. He shields it from the wind with his body, feeding it carefully until it grows. Marcus breathes out slowly. Relief mixed with exhaustion. He sits by the fire, staring into it like it's the only ally left. Late on the afternoon of day 5, the air changes. Marcus senses it before he sees it. A shift in the light, in the quality of silence around him. He turns slowly. At the edge of tall grass stands a lioness. Still. Massive. Golden. Marcus freezes. The knife in his hand suddenly feels irrelevant. The lioness watches him with calm, unreadable eyes, not hungry, not threatened. Just present. Marcus lowers his gaze slightly. Respect, not surrender. The lioness steps forward once. Marcus tenses. She stops. Holds him in her gaze, long enough to be a question, or a judgment, or something in between. Then she turns, disappears into the grass, and is gone. Marcus sits down hard, breath tearing in and out of him like he's just outrun something he can't name. He wakes uneasily on the morning of day 6, scanning the ground around him before he's fully conscious. At the edge of camp, a dead hare. Fresh. He stares at it, confused. Then looks up. The lioness is there, half hidden in the grass, watching from a distance. Marcus doesn't approach. He speaks softly, more to himself than to her. "You did this." She doesn't move. He drags the hare closer carefully and cooks it over the fire. As he eats, tears roll quietly down his face. Not dramatic, not loud, just the body releasing pressure it has been holding since the ropes. He wipes his face quickly, almost embarrassed. Then keeps eating. Because hunger doesn't care about pride. At night, the hyenas return. Closer. Marcus stands near the fire with a burning branch, watching eyes glint in the dark as they circle him. One creeps forward. He swings the branch. It flinches, but doesn't retreat. They are testing him. Then, a low, deep growl rises from somewhere beyond the grass. Not a sound so much as a vibration in the chest. The hyenas pause as if the night itself has spoken. The lioness steps out of the darkness. Still. Not charging. Not theatrical. Just present. The hyenas pull back slowly, reluctant but wise. When the night finally settles, Marcus looks toward where she stands. "Thank you," he says quietly. The lioness disappears into the dark. Over the days that follow, days 7 through 10, Marcus finds his footing in a new and provisional kind of life. He strengthens his shelter. He boils water when possible and drinks carefully. He cleans his wound each day, watching the swelling reduce. The lioness appears most mornings, always at a distance. Once, a male lion materializes behind her, watchful and enormous. Marcus stays still, non-threatening, a guest in someone else's world, learning the rules. He begins leaving a small portion of cooked meat near the fire before retreating. The lioness takes it only when he is far enough away. Nights feel less crowded with danger. Sometimes Marcus speaks quietly into the open air, not really to the lioness, not really to himself. They decided who I was. From an angle. A rumor. A story. And that was enough for them. He watches the horizon stretch gold and amber. But out here, he pauses, not finding the words so much as choosing them carefully. Out here, the only thing standing between me and the dark is what I actually am. Not what anyone said. Not what anyone believed. He feeds the fire. Character is the only currency that spends in the wilderness, on night. 11. The hyenas return in greater numbers, bold with hunger, testing the fire's boundary with growing confidence. Marcus backs toward a tree, swinging his branch, heart pounding as they circle again and again. Then a roar cuts through the night, deep, dominant, close enough to shake the air loose from the chest. From the grass, the male lion steps forward just enough to be seen. The lioness appears beside him. Territorial power that needs no explanation. No chase required. The hyenas retreat, irritated and defeated. Marcus stands shaking, branch still raised, looking toward the two lions as they turn and vanish back into the dark. He sinks slowly to the ground, breath tearing out of him in ragged pieces. Then he laughs, small, disbelieving, the laugh of a man who cannot quite believe he is still alive. He covers his face with both hands, overwhelmed. Dawn of day 12 finds Marcus dizzier than before. He tries to stand. His legs give. Fever has returned with renewed authority, rolling over him in waves. He crawls to the fire, pushes himself upright, stumbles forward. The lioness appears closer than usual. She nudges him, firm, urgent, then steps away a few paces and looks back. When he doesn't follow, she nudges again. Hey, easy, Marcus blinks at her through the fever. He tries to follow and collapses. His breathing is ragged. The savanna tilts around him. The lioness circles him once, then lowers herself, front legs bent, patient, deliberate. Not like a trained animal. Like a creature making a choice. Marcus hesitates for a long moment. Then he clings to her shoulder, more hanging on than sitting, and whispers through disbelief. You're really doing this? The lioness rises carefully. The male lion materializes at a distance, flanking them. Then the lioness moves forward, fast and purposeful, through the open savanna. Wind whips Marcus's face. The landscape blurs. His eyes fight to stay open, his grip tightening against the warmth of her fur. His final conscious thought, in those last moments before the world goes soft, is not triumph. It is relief. On the training grounds of the military outpost, drills stop mid-motion. A soldier stares at the horizon and doesn't speak. From the bush, the lioness emerges. Marcus clings to her, barely upright. Weapons rise instinctively. A dozen voices tighten around their triggers. Hold fire. Lieutenant Chen's voice cuts through the chaos. The lioness slows. She lowers enough for Marcus to slide from her shoulder. He collapses into the dirt, and soldiers rush forward. He lifts his head, barely. Don't shoot, he says, voice barely above a rasp. The lioness steps back. She looks at Marcus once more, unhurried, unafraid, then disappears into the grass. The male lion appears briefly at the edge of the bush, then follows. The outpost stands frozen in complete silence.